So a few years ago, I made a video about what NASCAR's points results and champions would be if the Winston Cup points format was still used when the chase was used from 2004 to 2016. And while it was a fun hypothetical to explore, there's another that I found interesting as well. What if NASCAR had implemented the playoff system in 2004 instead of the chase, and kept it through to today? So today will be the first of 13 videos of how the standings and years would have played out with this format from 2004 to 2016. For the stage points, I'll use rough estimates on which laps they would be on and calculate the points earned from them. Obviously, this isn't a scientific process. I'm going to be inaccurate, and the drivers wouldn't drive like this, I know. This is simply meant to be a fun, what if this happened video with these results. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, who would be in the 2004 playoffs? Well, starting off, certain drivers made it due to winning races. Dale Earnhardt Jr. makes it with his Daytona 500 victory, on top of winning also Atlanta, Richmond, and Bristol. Matt Kenseth joins the playoffs after a thrilling victory at Rockingham and a win the next week at Las Vegas. Jimmie Johnson punched his ticket, winning the last 400-mile race at Darlington and the 600 and sweeping Pocono. Kurt Busch would be in also with his wins at Bristol and New Hampshire. Elliott Sadler jumps in after triumphs at Texas and Fontana, and Rusty Wallace's final win gets him in as well after a Martinsville win. Jeff Gordon is in with his wins at Talladega, California, and Finian and Daytona. Mark Martin's survival victory at Dover would get him in as well. Ryan Newman also gets in after winning Michigan, and Tony Stewart makes it after winning Chicagoland and Watkins Glen. Greg Biffle won the second race at Michigan, so he gets in. And last but not least, Jeremy Mayfield. He would win at Richmond in the 26th and final race of the regular season, securing a spot into the playoffs. So 12 drivers would make the playoffs off of wins. This left 4 open spots to make it due to points. These 4 would be the rookie sensation of Kasey Kahne, the hothead of Kevin Harvick, the quiet but consistent Jamie McMurray, and the veteran Dale Jarrett. And with winning and bonus points, stage points, and top 10 bonus points, the grid would look like this. The first 3 races of the playoffs are at New Hampshire, Dover, and Talladega. Kurt Busch was the first to ensure his way into the round of 12 with a win at New Hampshire. A few big winners with this race points-wise were Dale Jr., Kasey Kahne, and Kevin Harvick, while guys like Ryan Newman and Jeremy Mayfield fell. But Newman would storm back the next week at Dover, rejuvenating his playoff bid with a win. Kasey Kahne would fall behind the cutoff line with a 42nd place finish, though. So, heading into Talladega, most drivers' destinies were in the balance. Other than the 2 winners, only 3 drivers seemed safe on points: Jimmie Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Jeff Gordon. No other driver from 6th to 16th in points was more than 20 points away from the cutoff. Jeremy Mayfield would be the first to have his year cut short for sure with a wreck at Talladega. And on the backstretch of the final lap at Talladega, Greg Biffle and Kasey Kahne both had their postseason runs crunched short as well. And while Dale Jr. added more playoff points with a win, the cutoff would be decided by a takeoff. Elliott Sadler's flip tightened the gap. Entering the tri-oval, Sadler was clear of the cutoff by over 10 points. But in finishing 22nd with his flip through the tri-oval, he made the round of 12 by only 2 points over Rusty Wallace. So heading into the round of 12, the bracket would look like this with the reset. Now the next 3 races in this round would be at Kansas, Lowe's, and Martinsville. At Kansas, a non-playoff driver in Joe Nemechek won, meaning that points still meant the most for all of the drivers. Dale Jarrett was able to hop above the cutoff line by 1 point as he edged Dale Jr. to the line for 8th. The man to fall under was Ryan Newman after a 33rd place run. And heading into Lowe's, Jimmie Johnson would be the first to punch his ticket to the round of 8, with his sweeping at the track's races. There was no one who moved into the top 8, but the cutoff line tightened heading into Martinsville. The top 5 guys with JJ were safe by a cushion of points, those being Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, and Elliott Sadler. After finishing 35th and 36th, Kevin Harvick was in a must-win scenario. He was 65 points behind 8th place. While he ran well, his 8th place finish at Martinsville didn't get it done. Dale Jarrett's miserable 37th place run eliminated him after being 8th in points for 2 straight weeks. Mark Martin would also miss the round of 8 with a 12th place run. Ryan Newman and Jamie McMurray safely advanced with podium finishes. The final transfer spot came down between 2 drivers. Once again, Elliott Sadler and Matt Kenseth. Neither driver was able to score any stage points during this race, so it would come down to finishing positions. With 2 incidents, Sadler would limp home to 32nd. All Kenseth needed to do was finish 12th or higher. Unfortunately, he would finish 16th and be the final eliminated driver, missing the round of 8. The field was set for the final fight for the chance to be in the championship 4 at Homestead. Atlanta, Phoenix, and Darlington would define the season. Atlanta proved to be feast or famine for the playoff drivers, providing a plethora of drama. Jimmy Johnson locked in his spot for Homestead with the win. Stuart McMurray also got top 10s, helping their bids. But trouble hit many of the favorites. Kurt Busch finished 42nd with a blown engine. Elliott Sadler ran 36th. Jeff Gordon was relegated to a 34th. And last but not least, Dale Earnhardt Jr. took himself out and finished 33rd position. Due to bonus points and finishing positions, the standings shifted considerably. At Phoenix, the standings continued to shift. With his win, Dale Earnhardt Jr. locked up the 2nd spot in the Final 4. Elliott Sadler and Jamie McMurray both struggled, putting them in must-win scenarios for Darlington, with Kurt Busch not much farther ahead after finishing 10th. But due to Ryan Newman scoring stage points, he would leapfrog over Jeff Gordon for the 4th and final spot in the standings for the Final 4. For most of the Darlington race, Ryan Newman ran well enough to pass on to the next round over Gordon. But with 38 to go, while running in the top 5, Newman's season went up in smoke with a blown engine. The lost engine ensured the final 4 berths of both Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon. All that was left was 267 laps at Homestead Miami Speedway. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was a non-factor for the majority of the race. Finishing 23rd, he would be an afterthought as the other 3 ran in the top 5 and top 10 for most of the day. Stewart, Johnson, and Gordon all had swapped the title lead throughout the day. Over the final 50 laps, they all were charging forward. With 32 to go, Stewart fought his way to the lead before again falling behind Ryan Newman. And with 15 to go, Martin Truex Jr. blew a tire, erasing the 20s gap over both Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. Restarting with 10 to go, Gordon and Stewart would fight for the lead. Tony Stewart would scamper away again, nearly by 2 seconds over Gordon over the next few laps. But with 3 to go, leader Ryan Newman blew a tire. A green-white checker finish would close out the race, season, and championship. Stewart, Gordon, and Johnson were virtually under a blanket bunched up on the restart.
Nice. Here they go.
Gordon looking for second on Biffle.
But Biffle.
And Biffle looking for the lead on Tony Stewart. Johnson 3 wide to the outside.
How about that move for Biffle? Hung on to it and took the lead at the same time.
And Kurt Busch making sure they all don't end up in a smoking pile.
Jimmy Johnson second. Jeff Gordon trying outside Tony Stewart. Will he get it? I think he will when he gets down on the straightaway. Got the momentum.
White flag, 1 lap to go. Look at this. Kurt might get challenged by some of these guys coming up behind him.
He certainly doesn't need to lose those positions.
Jimmy Johnson to second. Jeff Gordon third. Kurt Busch in 5th and trying to hang on to that spot. If he stays there, he wins the title.
You may see a Hail Mary here by the 20 car. Right on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon. Don't think he can do it.
Checkered flag is up. Greg Biffle wins the Ford 400 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon finish 2nd and 3rd.
So with the playoffs, Jimmy Johnson would be the 2004 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series champion instead of Kurt Busch. The points would look much different. Jamie McMurray, Greg Biffle, and rookie Casey Kane all missed the chase, but would score top 10 finishes in the playoffs, while Matt Kenseth, Jeremy Mayfield, and Elliott Sadler all were out of the top 10 after making the chase in real life. But now I pass it on to you. What do you think of the 2004 NASCAR Nextel Cup season with the playoffs? Let me know down below, and subscribe if you want to see what the following playoff seasons look like. And until next time, have a good one.